two, three. Welcome back, everybody, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of Behind the Ears Podcast. I am your host, Uncle Danny. Alongside of me tonight, as always, Mr. Chris.
Hey everybody, how you doing? We are so glad that you are here today, and by all means, we've got a really good show. But first, Danny's got an announcement for us.
Yes, finally, guys. Behind the Ears Podcast now has our first official sponsor, and that sponsor is Mouse Master Travel. I'd like to take a moment to thank our sponsor, Fantastic Memories Traveler, and its Mouse Master Travel Group. The Mouse Master Travel Group focuses on Disney destinations and vacations. And, the Mouse Master agents, they want to take care of those stressful parts of the vacation planning that we all don't want to deal with. So, you guys can really sit back and focus on the fun. You can always check them out at mousemastertravel.com. So with that being said, Mr. Chris, what is on slate for tonight's episode?
Well, we've got some news and rumors that we want to talk about today. Now, just want to say one thing about the rumors. I think our listeners know that we tend to take it easy on the rumors because they're just that. They're rumors. We like to have fun when we speculate, but we realize that these are nothing more than just rumors. So take that in mind. But first, Danny, the one thing I saw was that Epcot had a power outage, or maybe even still has a power outage. In fact, over at the WDWNT website, basically says, breaking massive power outage shuts down most Epcot attractions. Most attractions at Epcot are temporarily closed, easy for me to say, due to a power outage problem at the park. And then it shows a screenshot of My Disney Experience with Journey to Imagination with Figment, closed. Mission Space, closed. Reflections of China, closed. Soarin', closed, and so on and so on. And it says there are no further details available at this time, but it appears that nearly every attraction in the park are impacted. Which I'm just like, whoa, that's pretty intense, man. I mean, we don't necessarily know. But
The funny part is, Chris brought this up to me right before we should start. Oh my God, neither of us can speak. The show started, and he goes, "Epcot lost power." He goes, "What do you think people are going to do?" I was like, everybody better start drinking because that is your only option right now when there's everything closed in Epcot." And before all the goof ups, Chris goes, "But the machines might be down." Well, I hope you all brought a flask because either you're going to try to wait this one out, or you're going back to the hotel a little early, which kind of stinks, though. I mean, if you planned on doing certain things at night there, I mean, you lost that. I mean, if you took a nice maybe half day, went into the pool and everything, and, you were going to really use your passes tonight, essentially, use your fast passes and everything tonight, you kind of just you lost out, which is, that's poopy.
Well, I mean, that is another thing. Right now, the park is normally closed. I mean, it's 10:15 in our recording time, Eastern time. So technically, everything should be closed unless they had magic hours. But it's still just one of those cases where it's like, wow, I can only imagine. What happens if you're in line? You've been in line in Test Track for an hour, all of a sudden, actually, you know what? Test Track's actually a really bad example of that because that ride does kind of have a tendency to go down, especially if there's a hinkling of rain.
What about soaring though? Imagine flying around and then power goes out and you're just kind of dangling there.
Now, I would actually find that to be hilarious. I mean, I would think it'd be cool to just dangle. Wee! I would have a blast. Of course, what first thing I would do? Live stream. I'd be like, "Hey, everybody, you want to be live streamed?" Everybody was like, "Woohoo!" Of course, you wouldn't be able to see anything but a black screen, unless I had one of my kids turn on their little flashlight on their phone and say, "Okay, here it is." I'm like, "Hi, it's Mr. Chris. I'm in the dark." I don't know. I would laugh about it. I know that there are probably some people that would really get upset, and I would totally understand that. I mean, but at the same time, I kind of sit back and think, it could be worse. I mean, I've been fortunate to only had to have been evac'd off a ride once, and you'll never guess which ride.
All right, so if you're Dumbo.
Very close. Barnstormer. Now, I will say this is funny. It was like it was one of those things where we waited to get on the ride, did the ride, and then we were all the way at the end, right before they go back into the barn. Except something happened where they couldn't get the ride vehicle, train moving in, and we were there for like 15 minutes, and they're like, "Well, we have to have you guys get out now and kind of walk us, aside," type of thing. It was hilarious, and they give us fast passes and so on. But
Oh, okay.
it was fun. I mean, you just gotta. We kind of joked around about it because Barnstormer is, let's face it, it's for a smaller crowd, smaller children, and a big guy like me. Yeah, it's being that I am a little bit more poo sized. It's just it was kind of tight. I'm thinking to myself, you know what? I'm getting to the point where I can't feel my feet anymore, but I'm gonna still just laugh about this.
That's my biggest fear. I don't want to deal with like, all right, my buddy Matt's in here. He's the one that I'm planning a trip with. My best friend. He knows this and he laughs at me all the time. As a kid, I was the type of person that would stand in the elevator and jump up and down to try to get the elevator to shake. When we were on Ferris wheels as kids, I would be the kid standing up shaking the Ferris wheel like, nothing's gonna happen.
You're the troublemaker.
Now I can't. Yeah, I can't even go on. I can't go on like rock and roller coaster anymore. I can't go anything with a harness. I have panic attacks for that exact reason that something's gonna break down and like there is no like finagling my way out of it. I was joking with him. I said, a couple of the rides I have lap bars. I was like, please don't get mad, but I fake the lap bar. He goes, what do you mean? I said, I pull it down and I put my hand on my stomach like this and I make the lap bar hit it. And he's like, what do you mean? I was like, well, so when they come by, I'll just stick my like belly out and arch my back so they don't try to pull that lap bar down. He's like, why? I was like, well, because God forbid we get stuck and I have a panic attack. I want to know I can climb out of the ride. And he was like, oh my God, you're going to get me killed in Disney. I was like, there's a possibility of that.
There's always a possibility. Okay, and don't forget, don't forget the tickets used to say, this ticket, holds Disney harmless for anything that might happen to you. But it's perfectly safe. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. But yeah, I mean it's one of those things. I mean, I can imagine that Disney has a contingency plan for pretty much darn near everything. But if anybody happens to be down there or heard anything about it or experienced it, pictures, feel free to drop a line over at our Facebook page or drop us an email over at behindtheearspodcast@gmail.com. So now, yeah.
I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
No, me and Chris, we're obviously we're testing out new software tonight, so it's not going to be a crazy in-depth show. But we wanted to touch on rumors and everything, and I tried my darndest to save this one that I read today. I really wanted to save it and do a solo show, but you know what? For what it's worth, let's do it now, if you don't mind, Chris.
Oh, let's go for it.
All right. So it's a bit of an interesting one. And I'll be first to admit, I read the title and was like, oh, you got to be kidding me. This came from WDW News today. Oh, no. Phone does. Okay. Rumor is that Disney's Grand Floridian Resort to be gutted to become a more modern luxury resort.
Gutted.
So right off the bat, gutted. And I was like, wait a minute. Wait, what? So like my mind immediately starts rolling into, oh my goodness, this is, a great topic for the show. So I'm already like finding reasons why like this won't work. And then I was like, okay, well, let me read the article. So basically it just goes to say that there is a rumor out there, and that I want to specify it is just a rumor out there. But it appears that the chairman of the Disney Parks and Resorts, Bob Chapek, is not a big fan of the current Disney's Grand Floridian Resort. Well, Mr. Bob, me and you are on the same page here on that for at least. It is one of their flagship hotels, which is, crazy that they would think about changing it. So I'll just read it to you real quick just to make life easy. Similar to the recently shake-up in the housekeeping for Disney World, Chapek feels that the Four Seasons Resort in Orlando is putting them to shame when it comes to what a luxury resort on property should be. So what's the solution? to completely gut the 28-year-old Magic Kingdom area resort. Obviously, many executives at Walt Disney World are trying to talk Chapek out of the massive remodeling of the Grand Floridian. Of course, with how much it's going to cost, and too, how can that be Disney themed? Disney World, just north of Transportation and Ticket Center, reportedly that they have no luck in changing his mind as of yet. Chapek is still moving full speed ahead with this plan. Should it come to fruition, all of the rooms in the lobby of the resort will be completely gutted and rebuilt with a more modern luxury theme, perhaps along the lines of the new hotel being constructed at Disneyland Resort. As it stands now, this project may not even be in design phase yet, but it seems it will come to fruition should Chapek remain at the helm of the parks resorts for the foreseeable future. Well, let's start with that. Bob Chapek's not going anywhere. He's been doing a fantastic job. Bob's not going anywhere. So, if this is going to be his baby and this is going to be his project, I don't want to say it's definitely going to happen because, he has to answer to other people. But that's crazy if this actually happens. Chris, my first thought of it is if you take that away, the only other hotel that is themed around Florida is going to be Old Key West. So,
yeah, and it's a whole different category of a hotel too, being a DVC resort.
Yeah, I wasn't. I was just more thinking of theming. It's kind of like, well, okay, if they take it away, you still have something that represents Florida where the park is. So, okay, you still have Old Key West. But the thing is like, when I think of like an upscale like that, not saying that but I think of Swan and Dolphin. Great hotel. The location is fantastic, but it's not Disney. And I don't know how you're going to make a fine themed, hotel like a Four Seasons, but add Disney to that.
You know, it's kind of funny. I saw this article as well, and I shared much of your same thought. Although I always said, I never say never, and I've always said I haven't tried it yet. I always said that I wasn't sure if I wanted to try it. But we are staying at the Grand Floridian Villas this summer for a couple nights as DVC members. And, I saw some pictures of those resorts earlier today. And someone actually made a comment that, the DVC Villa rooms were much more nicely themed, more elegant. Of course, they're newer. I mean, that part of the resort's only been around for a few years. I don't know if I've ever really paid much attention to the resort decor in the regular hotel part. Now the thing is though, the hotel's 30 years old, and it's probably time for a refresh. I mean, I know they do. Disney does refurbs all the time, which they try to keep things nice, clean, updated. Put in new features, new tech, that sort of thing. Now the thing is that they're right. It is its flagship. It is a gorgeous hotel. I've only seen the lobby in a few other places, and it is an extravagant hotel. But I sit here and think to myself, I'm not sure. I guess this is why they are Imagineers and I am not. But I can't picture what they can reimagine that lobby with that would make it even more grand, more elaborate, and more luxurious. Now, granted, I mean, maybe different colors, maybe different types of carpeting, types of other types of decor, small
That's
things. I don't know.
Cosmetic,
but I know it's cosmetic, and I'm thinking to myself, what else can they do? I mean, they're not. Okay, even when they redid the Poly lobby, they took out the waterfall and everything else like that. And I'm not saying that was for the better. I am not saying that was for the better. I'm just saying when they did it, they reimagined that lobby, and yes, it was a night and day difference. Whether or not you like that night or day difference is to each their own.
But they had to though.
They kind of had.
I mean,
to.
there is a there. I mean, there is. At least there's a chain of events that led up to it that you're like, okay, I don't agree with Disney taking away this lobby, taking away the waterfall, but at least there was signs of mold. There was extremely old piping. Things
Sure.
were continuously breaking.
Sure.
No matter how you look at it, it's still sitting water at some point or another because the waterfall didn't run 24 hours. It is Florida. So there was at least a chain of events where you're like, okay, could they have fixed all these problems and kept I keep saying water fountain, the waterfall? Sure. But at least I saw a reason why they were progressing to the next step. And I feel like with this one, it's kind of like, we're just bored of this hotel. We want to change. My sister got married in Disney. That was where they stayed. They loved it. I know people who hated it. Me, it was a little too hoity-toity. I walked in there and it was pinkies up in the air all the time. I wasn't the biggest fan of it, but I recognize its significance inside Disney.
Sure.
And I just feel like you take it away, it's kind of like you're becoming, I don't know if anybody goes, I don't know how sports teams are you, but in Chicago, but in New York, New York, New Jersey, it's not the average fan isn't going there anymore. You're seeing a lot more businesses and suits and everything. And I feel like Disney is slowly outpricing that middle class person.
Now, that in itself, I think, is an entirely different topic that we can touch on here in a second. But I think even just to the idea that the term "gutted" is kind of what got to me. I mean, there's only so much that you can do to a hotel's footprint before you're pretty much tearing everything out and rebuilding from scratch with a bare skeleton. But there's only so much you can do with the footprint. Just from an architectural perspective, even from an engineering perspective. But it's going to be interesting to see if this one comes to fruition. I mean, it is a rumor. We're doing some speculation here, and then again, when rumors and hearsay come about, I think it's kind of fun to speculate a little bit on it. But I myself am not going to act on it. I'm not going to panic over it. I know, Uncle Danny's not going to do the same thing,
Easy.
This was one of those things. I know I'm going to enjoy whatever I am able to enjoy when I am there this coming summer, and we'll see how it goes. However, just to touch on the comment about pricing, some of those rooms right now just rack rate. Normal, non-discounted rate. Think of it as the rate that you would pay if you, just bought a room. It's like $700 a night. Or more. Yeah, and so, but here's also the other thing to it. There are some rooms at the Poly that are darn close to $700 a night. Yeah. There are rooms at Wilderness Lodge that are a little bit less, but they're still in the $500 a night range, and that's still a lot of money, and you kind of have to stop and say, obviously each type of room is geared for someone who has a particular budget. Even at the Contemporary, I shouldn't say even. I mean, that was try to get a room in the Contemporary for under $500 a night, and good luck with that. And there's people that are going to enjoy that, and I hope they do. And I've stayed at the Poly. I've stayed, basically, let's put it this way: I have stayed at every moderate, and after the summer, I will have stayed at every deluxe hotel. I have only stayed at a couple of the values, and I have not yet stayed at Art of Animation, which, while a value, I think it's kind of like a little bit of a value plus. But it's still a lot. There's just a lot of money to stay at those deluxe resorts.
And you know what the funny thing is? The Grand Floridian, I'm looking at it right now for happen to be the week in March that I'm looking to go.
Mm-hmm.
It's $590 a night. Now you're gonna be like, $590 a night. It's one of the cheaper deluxe resorts for that week. Yacht Club $646. You want to hear the one that shocked me? Like when I read this, I thought there had to be an error. Disney's Contemporary Resort, $1,215 a night.
Was it club level?
This is their Fun and Sun package. So what the Fun and Sun package gives you is the hotel and a 5-day hopper, and the 5th day is free currently right now. And that was saving you $130 on the room itself. But the room is okay. That's why it's so expensive. That makes sense. Everything is sold out except you are getting the garden wing one bedroom suite access.
Oh, that's why. Because it's a suite.
Yeah, but you're still looking one, two, three, four. They still have five rooms that are more that are technically priced higher. That because of the dates, it's sold out. But I mean, you have the theme park view and the atrium club level sold out, which is more expensive. Standard room and atrium club level sold out. Garden wing hospitality suite access sold out. Bay Lake view two bedroom club level sold out. Bay Lake one bedroom suite club level sold out. My thing is like, okay, so this is the lowest level of club service suites. This is the only room they have left available for that week I want to go. $1,200? You're talking about $5,000 if you're staying 5 nights.
Well,
Just in your room.
and don't forget, tack on about 10% of that for taxes.
Yeah. You know what? While we're talking, I want to see. Let's see if I update my cart.
Uh-oh, here he goes. Ladies
I
and
hope I
gentlemen.
don't. I have to be careful because I have my credit card linked to it.
Yeah, you need to be careful about that.
Okay. So it is, wait, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Okay, so I have it set up for 6 nights. Okay,
Okay.
with no tickets
Okay.
at all.
Okay.
After tax and everything for 6 nights, $8,203.30. What? What?
So, just for
That's a used car.
dude, you were going down the direction I was. I mean, the fact of the matter is, I have spent less on a car. You know, probably the most expensive used car I've purchased in the past 5 years was $7,000. You know, $7,000 for a, actually, yeah, funny, $7,000 for a Honda with 197,000 miles on it. But that's beside the point. But it's like, whew. I mean, it's a lot. But you want to know something? If that's what people want to do in order to get the most out of their vacation, go for it. I mean, I've stayed at the Contemporary. I've stayed at all of them. And okay, wait, I take that back. I have not stayed at the Yacht Club. Okay. I will admit I have not stayed at the Yacht Club. Not that I don't want to. It just seems like there's other places that we would like to go, especially being DVC members. It's kind of like, there's some different variances there. But right now it's just basically the same, different decorum, but the same as that.
Okay. I love the Contemporary. It was one of my favorites growing up. It is the most blah resort on property. I am not spending $8,000. You're out of your mind, $8,000. Then you want to add in a 5-day hopper for two people. You're talking about almost $9,000 without airfare or food. It's crazy.
In March.
In March. I'm literally doing this as we speak, so this is with the Fun and Sun package. They're giving you a discount. So if you wanted to say get the dining plan, the middle one that offers you the quick service, the table service, 2 snacks and a drink, when it's all said and done for 2 people to go, it's almost $10,000 for 5 days essentially. Come on, who's paying that?
I don't know. And I don't. I'm sitting here stuttering because it's like I don't know what to say because yeah, I mean I do split stays specifically so I can try out a resort and I'll splurge. I mean when we stayed at the Poly, it was kind of like a graduation present for my daughter. We stayed one night club level, and it was great. My daughter still talks about it. But the thing is that we looked at it and said, man, we just don't get the value out of this, to be honest with you. And that's okay. I mean, that's totally and completely okay. I would never discourage anybody from trying out these resorts. They're gorgeous. I mean, okay, the Contemporary, it's not necessarily my style, but I like staying there. It's cool. Bay Lake Tower, I think I like better than staying in the main building. And I've not stayed in one of the garden views, but I like Bay Lake Tower. We stayed.
Jessica brings up a great.
What's that? What's your point?
$10,000 would be a huge chunk into DVC.
No
So
joke.
true.
Oh, so very true. In fact, I mean, the thing is that you can buy a really nice resale contract for that, or you can buy, half of a nicely equipped one from directly from DVC. In fact, to tell you the truth, $10,000 when we became members 8 years ago. It'll be 8 years this coming summer. I think I spent a total of 17,000 for mine, and so this would have been. This would have been the vast majority of that in one stay. But it's also one of the reasons why we became DVC members back when we did, so that we can actually enjoy deluxe resorts. And my dues this year was like $870. But for that
What's your point setup?
I got 160 points, and then my home resort is Saratoga. And
What's an average? What's like an average 5-night stay at Saratoga?
oh gosh, it varies by it varies by
Months and everything like
months
that.
and all that other time. I think I'm going to go off just total memory here. So to our guests who are also DVC members, just know I'm spitballing. I could probably do a 5-night for less than 100 points. And
Well, yeah, because that same week it's sold out now, but you could have stayed at Boardwalk in a studio for 89 points,
right. So I mean,
which is a good deal.
I mean, it's actually, if the Boardwalk is 89, then I'm sure Saratoga is probably just a little bit less, and they vary. So the thing is that I get a week's worth of this. Okay, this year we're going to do a 1-bedroom for a few nights, and then we're doing 2 nights at the Grand, and we actually still have points left over.
Oh, that's cool.
I mean, so now those points will be banked, and then we'll save them for next year.
No, he won't. He's saving those points for a behind the ears podcast trip down to Disney.
I may not be able to actually. I only got like 9 points left, and I really can't do much with 9 points. But so that's what I'm saying. We'll save that for next year. I'll go to Mouse Masters to get another room or something like that for our trip. But so it's it's just one of those things. But someone might say, well, why would you want to spend that much money on DVC? Well, you make a commitment. It's just like anything else. You're making a commitment to a vacation, and we made a commitment a long time ago just because we love Disney so much to be DVC members, and it just made financial sense because at that time my DVC mortgage, yes, it was a mortgage, was only like $20 more a month than what I was putting away budget wise to stay at a hotel. It seemed to make sense, and then after it was paid off, boom, instant savings. So yeah, I get to stay a week for basically what is $89 a night. So it's call that less than value money, and I get to stay at a deluxe resort. So, but that would actually be a really good show to have and to talk a little bit about DVC stuff. But we'll probably do that sometime down the road. But yeah, it's just really, it's crazy cash. It really is, and it's really kind of insane. But speaking of something totally different. Okay, we're going to go from grand opulence to Cosmic Ray Starlight Cafe.
Oh.
Now I know that it's not your favorite, okay? But supposedly that they're going to do a lot of different refurbishments over at Cosmic Rays through the spring, and I guess they're changing the bathrooms. They're cleaning out they're starting the exterior changes so that more covered seating areas are added to the outside portion right now, and the project is going to be done in like different phases. So the thing is though, and this is kind of a problem. They're doing this, and it's supposed to be done this summer. Cosmic Rays is extremely popular in the summer months. even to the point where I've had cast members come up to, stop us at the door and say, "Hi, so glad you're able to stop by, but we're really full at capacity right now, so we would like to redirect you to other dining opportunities within the Magic Kingdom." Really,
Wow.
you know, and I will admit, it was at peak, peak lunchtime times, and planning the planning and timing was a little off on our end, so I'm not blaming Disney or anything like that. We did happen to just go over to a particular hot dog establishment on the corner of Main Street.
You don't say.
Yeah, it's one of those cases where, it's one of those Casey's. Oh, did I say Casey's? No, so we actually went there to grab some sustenance, and I'm really holding my tongue because I want to do it because everybody knows what this guy got. Oh yeah, but yeah, it's just one of those things. So Cosmic Rays is going to get some changes, and the thing is, they need to get a little bit bigger. It's really hard to get in there, and it's really, I like it. It's kind of fun. It's a bunch of shtick to listen to. Sunny Eclipse. I mean, after all, Ray pays him weekly, very weekly. Thank you very much. If you like Tuesday's show, tune in to Wednesday's show. It's gonna be even better. Oh yeah, so
I can't do this anymore.
And Uncle Danny's gonna be looking for a new podcast partner coming up here soon. Just kidding. But also, how you and I were also talking about Pandora and Avatar and stuff like that not too long ago. Supposedly, and I know that we both still have some mixed emotions about what that's going to be like, but supposedly James Cameron confirms that the sequel scripts for Avatar are done, and they're actually going to start filming those sequels in August, which is going to, if you think about it, going to ride on the coattails of the opening of Pandora, which is really going to be kind of interesting to see, because it's going to take a while for those films to actually finally come to fruition.
You're talking about, I mean, if they're just writing the script now.
Yeah, they're finishing up, so yeah.
I mean, you got to think that movie's got to be 3-4 years away.
With the technology that they have to use in order to do it, probably. I mean, and it also makes me wonder if they're going to film those particular sequels kind of like in succession,
or inside the park.
Oh, that would be interesting.
What?
Are we starting our own rumor?
I think I saw them running around.
Oh my gosh, the Na'vi is taking over Pandora. They're really tall. They're really blue, and they speak in funny accents.
It's crazy.
But I'm actually looking forward to that. I mean, as I've said in the past, I liked Avatar. The other day it was on TV, and of course that came on. I'm like, oh crud! My whole evening is now shot. It's kind of like watching. It's kind of like if Shawshank Redemption comes on. I'm sorry.
Oh goodness.
Nope.
I beg you, take my money. Every
yeah.
time that movie, just take my money.
It's just one of those things. I mean, between that, the Blues Brothers, and almost anything by John Hughes. Simple as that. My evening is done. I'm going to be awake way past my bedtime. It's just one of those things. And I think Avatar falls into that category as well. I really like it. I know I've said it before. The music, I love the soundtrack to it. And I will tell you this, that it sounds epic in the Gusman Omniplex. I mean, it is high def, eye candy, and absolute stunning surround sound. But that's just me. So
we're getting on that cusp of the show kind of winding down. And so, Chris, do you have any more? You got one final one? What do you got for us?
I really don't right now, and I know that we're in the midst of outlining our upcoming shows that we're going to be recording this week. Thanks for everybody who is listening, and actually also watching us live using some new and different tech. And thanks for being tolerant as we play around with some of those items. I will definitely say that if you have any questions, comments, or have something that you want to be brought up on the show, do drop us a line over at over at Behind the Ears Podcast at gmail.com. And don't forget, you could also check us out over at iTunes, Instagram, our YouTube channel, which was just recently updated with a lot of our past broadcasts. Catch us on Twitter, and don't forget, like us on our Facebook page. So I think that's all I really have to say for today. Danny, you got anything else?
No, that's going to wrap it up. But, I appreciate you guys tuning into another episode of Behind the Ears Podcast. I'll echo Chris again. Thank you for dealing with some of the little technical issues we had in the beginning of the show. But, as time goes on, this will get a lot smoother, I promise. Once again, guys, are you planning on booking a trip anytime soon? Maybe you don't want to deal with the hassle of, Disney's website is down, or I don't have time, the kids are running around. Well, we got one-stop shopping for you. Why don't you guys head over to mousemastertravel.com, and they'll take care of all the hassle. You just tell them when you want to go, any little niche you want to do tours, anything like that, you just let them know, and they will take care of everything for you guys. So once again, you can always make your life a lot simpler by just going to Mousemaster Travel and booking your Disney trip through them. So with that being said, thank you all for tuning into another episode of Behind the Ears Podcast. Don't forget you can follow us on all our social media platforms. Don't forget to rate and review the show on iTunes, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and make sure you tune in for our next live episode. So with that being said, guys, I am Uncle Danny. I am signing out.
And I'm Mr. Chris. Once again, thanks a lot for joining our show tonight. And by all means, until you meet again, you have a magical day. Thanks a lot, and have a great day.